Here we go, COVID in Costa Rica. I have my laptop in front of me here, be referencing it for the notes as this is a pretty complex one. After an adventurous ATV tour in Jaco, time to continue to San Jose, or actually Alajuela, which is where the SJO airport is located.
We're Jenna and Jeremy.
After 14 months of RV life, we sold the RV and booked a one-way flight to travel the world.
Follow our adventures as we explore more of our incredible planet Earth.
Don't forget to press that subscribe button and turn on post notifications for weekly travel videos.
You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. Quench your adventure. Now on to the good stuff.
So we stayed in a really cheap Airbnb for a couple nights before flying out. We have a flight to Quito, Ecuador, early morning. The day before our flight, we took COVID tests, PCR tests at the Labin lab in Plaza Real, Alajuela, Labin, L-A-B-I-N. It just so happens that Jenna started feeling quite sick around this same time. We paid for a test giving results in 6 hours, and we tested around noon on that day. At this point, Jenna's definitely feeling sick, feeling different than any other sickness she'd had prior, shortness of breath being one of the main symptoms. Somehow I was feeling totally normal. So fast forward 10 hours, it's after 10 p.m., we have a 6 a.m. flight. We paid to get results more than 4 hours ago, and we're pretty sure that Jenna's going to test positive. Let me explain our next plans because they are really complex. So we chose the most ridiculous flight out of Costa Rica on purpose because it was pretty cheap and it would also allow us 2 long layovers in 2 different countries. So we're first flying to El Salvador, where we have a 14-hour layover and a rental car booked because we're gonna go explore for the day. Then we fly to Bogota, Colombia that night. We have a hotel booked near the airport, and we'd have most of the next day to explore the city before our non-refundable flight to Quito, Ecuador, where we also have a hotel booked near the airport there and a 28-day, 4-week Airbnb rental. And in total, that's over $1,000 in bookings between all of those things I just mentioned. Back to that night in Alajuela, we go to bed not knowing what's gonna happen. If Jenna tests negative, would it be wrong for her to still consider traveling if, she's noticeably sick now? Or she just wears a mask, it must not be COVID, she keeps to herself, people probably do this all the time, and we wouldn't have to forfeit all of these plans that I just mentioned. Or if she tests positive, but I, who am still feeling fine, test negative, is it worth considering me going without her? Is it crazy to leave my wife here while I take our non-refundable flight? And we've read, though, that in Costa Rica, it will be a mandatory quarantine of 10 days. So it could be a while before we see each other and she makes it to Ecuador. 6 a.m. flight. I set my alarm for 3:30 in the morning to see if we have results and to make the decision. Turns out, Jenna is positive for COVID-19. Somehow, I'm negative. So what happens next? First, I should say, I wish I wasn't so behind on the YouTube channel, but Instagram, TikTok, having fun, traveling, and the travel planning all tend to take priorities. We're like 6 months behind. This is January of 2022 that this is taking place, but I'm filming this in June. Of course, things change, with quarantine orders and all those things. I've linked a helpful blog in the video description, so it seems to stay pretty up to date on this topic. If it is something you're looking to learn and find out more, that might be a good resource as well after watching this. Here's the thing about Ecuador, in January at least, is it's not just an antigen test, but a PCR test is required. We've heard that you can still test positive for months after having COVID with a PCR test, which is not good because we could have cleared all symptoms, she tests, and she could still be reading positive. If I chose to go on my own, now she can't make it to me. This just wouldn't make sense. So that said, none of us are going. Jenna went back to sleep and we missed the flight. I stayed up to figure out what our next plans are. First, we can't stay in the Airbnb that we were currently in. So I managed to find a nicer studio apartment in San Jose, and somehow on such short notice, it was available for the next 10 days, which is gonna be the mandated quarantine time. So I did it. By the way, if you are looking for a nice, affordable studio apartment in San Jose, this is a good one. I'll put that link in the description as well. It was an Avianca flight, which was actually purchased through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal using a combination of credit card points and some cash or money. The cash portion was only $62 that went directly to Avianca, and they actually did consider our crazy circumstances and they refunded us that $62. Cool, that's a small win. Now the value of the points used for the rest of the booking was over $500. I mean, it was a lot of points. This was a big booking, and so now it's time to contact Chase and see what we can figure out. I've bragged about our Chase cards for years and even wrote a full blog about how we've utilized credit cards to earn a ton of points and book a lot of our travel. So if you don't know about these things, check out that blog. It is really important. But I've never actually filed a claim with Chase. So here we go. But it took months, but sure enough, Chase came through, or technically their third-party travel insurance provider. They came through and mailed a check for the value of the points in one of the hotel bookings that was non-refundable. This is amazing. I mean, that's over $600 that we didn't end up losing that we thought we were going to. I really didn't have much faith that it was going to come through because their system is just getting bombarded with these kind of claims. And, you know, we booked a non-refundable flight, et cetera, et cetera. But they came through. I mean, Chase, this is why it's one of the many benefits that I've mentioned about these cards. I just never really had the chance to test it. We never needed to. But the Chase Sapphire Preferred card is the one that we have. You earn a bunch of points on travel and you have a lot of extra benefits, and the travel insurance is a huge one and it worked. So extremely thankful for that. The other hotel booking was refundable, and then for the rental car we had for that day in El Salvador, it was like $50. I guess we didn't have what was needed to, prove that one, so a small loss there, but no biggie. Now for the 28-day Airbnb booking in Quito, which started the next day. So we had already passed any window of cancellation. And by the way, a 28-day booking, that is a long time, but when you hit 28 days on Airbnb, there are significant monthly discounts. We didn't know if we'd stay for the full time, but even if you stayed 3 weeks, it was cheaper. So anyway, we reached out to Airbnb's help desk, and I hate to say it, but they were no help at all. I imagine they were also getting bombarded with inquiries about this kind of stuff. They say that they have some COVID, relief help or whatever, but nothing happened. We got all automated responses and got nowheres. Quite frustrating. We explained the situation to our Airbnb host, actually our Superhost, and she graciously used her superpowers to call Airbnb and talk to a real human, something that we couldn't manage to do. She asked them, Airbnb, to change their cancellation policy on this reservation, which was nearly $700, okay, and it was refunded to us. Only because of this host being so gracious. Had nothing really to do with Airbnb. The host was nice. They understood our circumstance. They felt bad and they wanted to help us out. Nearly $700 that they technically could have pocketed and had nobody renting their space. Maybe could have even opened it back up. Anyway, point being, they were gracious. They didn't have to be, and we are extremely grateful for them. So as a shout out to them, this is Jessica and Patrick are the name of the hosts. They have multiple listings in Quito, Ecuador, and they're beautiful, really nice places in the historic district. Quito, Ecuador is the UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the best well-preserved cities, I think, in all of South America. So anyway, I will put the link to their Airbnb listing in the description. If you want to go to Quito, we'll post videos here eventually. They're on our TikTok, Instagram. Amazing destination, and the Galapagos incredible. So anyway, thank you to Jessica and Patrick. Hopefully some good karma is coming your way. Flight's good, Airbnb is good. The last piece of this puzzle now is we're spending an extra $500 on this Airbnb now that we have to stay in San Jose for this quarantine. When we left the US, we found a cheap Nomad health insurance policy with Safety Wing. I think it's like $84 a month. Good for us who plan to not need any real medical attention. Safety Wing does offer some COVID coverage, and we figured we'd give it a shot. They'll cover up to $500 of any COVID-related expenses, assuming you've had the policy for at least 28 days, which we had just surpassed. This is our first month of full-time travel. So I submitted all the supporting documents like the test, Airbnb receipts, etc. And sure enough, many months later, but they came through with a check for $500. Huge. For how much this disrupted our travel plans and how much time I spent collecting documents to file all the various claims, we are truly so grateful that nearly everything worked out for us. We knew that traveling like we are had a bunch of risks, and we fully accepted them, knowing that things are not going to always work out, and we'll still be thankful when they don't. But in this case, we got the flight, we got the Airbnb back, we got money for the extra money spent. We're just thankful. So I want to make sure I express that. So back to COVID, I actually went back to the testing lab, and using my best Spanish and some Google Translate, I made it clear that we didn't get the timely results that we paid for. It was 12 hours. We could have paid for their 12-hour test results and saved some money, but we didn't. We wanted them sooner. We wanted to know. I made a strong case. They gave a small partial refund, which was better than nothing. So a tip, just ask. Despite me testing negative, I started feeling sick later that same day, and I never did test again because it's just more money for no reason. But I pretty much just followed Jenna's footsteps. I was a couple days behind. We did a bunch of Uber Eats and Netflix over the following 10 days, and we quarantined in San Jose, Costa Rica. All things considered, it went well. We had a nice big window we could open, get some fresh air, and it wasn't bad. We picked a crazy time to be doing what we're doing, but here we are. We hope the sharing is entertaining, helpful, and we really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you'll like the video, subscribe to the Quench Your Adventure YouTube channel, and know that we'll be coming at you with a lot more good stuff. See ya.